Good evening and welcome to Newshour with me, Ibrahim Samura. Coming up in tonight's bulletin. United States support Africa's request for 2 permanent seats on the United Nations Security Council. IMF chief discusses IMF's extended credit facility with President Bill. Residents in Ward C raised concern over the dilapidated state of the Songo Road Bridge. These stories are more lined up in this edition of the news. We start today's newscast with Africa's request for permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council. The United States of America has supported Africa's request for 2 permanent seats on the United Nations Security Council. The support followed the appeal by President Julius Maada Bio, who is coordinator of the Africa Union's Committee of 10 Heads of States and Government on UN Security Council reform, held during the opening debate of Sierra Leone's presidency of the Security Council in August. Here is the U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, making the announcement on Thursday evening at the UN headquarters in New York.
I've met with over 80 countries asking leaders what they want to see in a reformed council. Secretary Blinken and his team have engaged in Washington and in foreign capitals. You know, there's a saying, if you ask the United Nations a question, you'll get 193 answers. Well, the question of whether and how to change the Security Council was no exception. But for all of these disagreements, these differences, there was one thing everyone agreed on. The status quo was just not cutting it, and it's time to make change. So in addition to reform commitments we've already made, today I'm announcing the United States supports 3 additional changes to the Security Council. First, I want to start with Africa. This is in many ways personal to me. As you know, I have lived and worked across the continent. I have traveled extensively across Africa, and so I know firsthand the diversity and the talent, the depth and breadth of expertise and experiences on the African continent. As it stands, there are currently 3 non-permanent seats on the Security Council allocated to African countries on a rotating basis for 2 years. The problem is these elected seats don't enable African countries to deliver the full benefit of their knowledge and voices to the work of the Council, to consistently lead on the challenges that affect all of us and disproportionately affect Africa. That is why, in addition to non-permanent memberships for African countries, the United States supports creating 2 permanent seats for Africa on the Council. It's what our African partners seek, and we believe this is what is just.
She is the United States representative to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, talking on the U.S. stance to advocate for Africa, Caribbean, and Latin America's request for permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council. From there, we move to stories on the presidency. The Deputy Division Chief of the International Monetary Fund, Christian Saborisky, has met with President Julius Maada Bio at State House to discuss ongoing negotiations under the IMF's extended credit facility. Let's now join our State House correspondent, Hawa Mosuri, for more on that spot.
The IMF team has spent 2 weeks in the country discussing a new arrangement under the CEF with the government's economic team. Mr. Zabriskie thanked President Idris Madabio for his commitment to working with the IMF and commended his progress made in the talks. He also lauded the administration's effort in reducing the inflation and emphasizing the IMF's support in strengthening the mining sector. With negotiations set to wrap up, approval of the ECF is expected in November 2024. Mr. Zabriskie said Sierra Leone remains a key partner for the IMF.
I just wanted to very much commend you and the economic team on the economic performance that we've seen over the past 18 years or so. I recall that the minister came to Washington in early 2023 to deliver a message to our managing director of the commitment to the IMF program and to the willingness to do what it takes to bring policies on track. And if you allow me, I'll be very frank, not many at the IMF at the time thought that this program that we had at the time could be rescued because of the difficult situation we found ourselves in. But you and your economic team really turned the situation around and really lived up to that commitment that involved very difficult fiscal measures, that involved tight monetary policy. But I think your economy is really now showing you that it was the right decision. We see inflation coming down very forcefully. We see the exchange rate being remarkably stable. So I think there's a lot of positive news.
President Idris Madabio welcomed the IMF delegation and expressed appreciation for their ongoing support. He credited his administration's financial gains to sound economic policies as reflected in the stable exchange rates. President Bio stressed the need to build on these successes and expressed optimism that the new ECF will further boost the country's economy. His government, he said, is committed to fiscal responsibility and collaboration with the IMF.
Like I've always said, we have done so under serious constraint, but because of the commitment we made to you and also the commitment to effective and efficient financial management, we try to stay on track. Of course, that means prudent economic policies for the past 20 months and to correct previous policy slippages and restore economic stability. So it's been hard, but we think we are up for it because we have to succeed. We definitely want to see the economy continue to be stable and growing, so we improve and so that we can improve on the well-being of our citizens, and therefore that is why we are particular about bringing this new program to conclusion, favorable conclusion as we are concerned.
The IMF is a major financial institution founded by 190 member countries, headquartered in Washington, D.C. For SABC TV News in Freetown, Hawa Mosiri reporting.
Still with the presidency, a U.S. delegation led by Major General Paul Rogers and U.S. Ambassador to Sierra Leone, Brant David Hunt, has briefed President Julius Maada on the state's partnership program between the Sierra Leone's armed forces and the Michigan National Guard. Mosiri again.
The State Partnership Program is a cooperation agreement between the U.S. and foreign countries. It links a U.S. State National Guard with the Army of the partnership nation. The goal is to strengthen global peace, security, and stability. Major General Paul Rogers says the SPP builds long-term relationships across all levels of society. It also promotes ties in democracy, information, military, and economy between nations. He added that Michigan National Guard and Sierra Leone Armed Forces have agreed on key plans, including leadership development for non-commissioned officers.
Your leadership of your country and your army is something I don't take lightly. So we are very excited for this partnership, for where we are starting point, but also very excited for the future. On the UN Security Council, but please accept this as a small token of our appreciation for you willing to partner with us.
President Chidasmada Bio thanked the delegation for the visit, emphasized the importance of partnerships for peace and security and the need for global cooperation.
We are keen about it because we are focused on development, and the ecosystem in which development works most is a secure environment. Insecurity is Mother's deepest enemy. So what we have been doing for the past 6 years as an administration has led to a major improvement in different fields, but we still want to consolidate those gains and even make further moves. And it is in this regard that we have been seeking this sort of cooperation so that we can improve and enhance the security, stability of our country.
The Michigan National Guard will also work with the Sierra Leone Navy on capacity building exchanges. This could lead to further U.S. security collaborations through AFRICOM. For SABC TV News Hour in Freetown, Hawamasura reporting from State House.
In a significant move towards enhancing food security and sustainability, the Presidential Initiative on Climate Change, Renewable Energy and Food Security and its partners in collaboration with the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security have started a 2-day National Stakeholders Workshop geared towards strengthening resilience in food transformation in Sierra Leone. Stella Bangura tells us more.
In the past decade, Sierra Leone has been categorized as one of the most hungry and climate-prone countries in the world. It is in this light the Presidential Initiative on Climate Change, Renewable Energy and Food Security has commenced a 2-day workshop on climate change and food systems. The engagements brought together government officials, development partners, local farmers, and civil society organizations to strategize on enhancing and sustaining food systems in the country. Vice President Dr. Mohamed Julde Jallo emphasized the critical need for a multi-sectorial approach to address the challenges facing the agricultural sector, noting the dependence on importation practices has largely affected the economy.
Is that over the years, we have seen that Sierra Leone is overwhelmingly dependent on food production, on food importation. That is why His Excellency the President launched the Feed Salo initiative to scale up local food production. But for us to meet that challenge, for us to be able to provide sufficient food that is affordable to citizens, it has to be conceived within a systemic approach. What does that mean? It means that we have to take every important sector across the food production chain, very important. For example,
he also underscored the importance of nutrition for especially children, whilst enhancing road networks to facilitate connectivity, ensuring food productivity, and reducing dependency on importation. Among several things he mentioned was scaling up the production of local onions to reduce dependency on importation.
Before this time, in 2010, we were spending about $30 million to import onions alone. In 2020, today in 2023, we are using only $6 million because we have scaled up local onion production. We have scaled up rice production. So we have progressively reduced the import of these two essential commodities to Sierra Leone. We want to do so with so many of those other commodities. So the importance of all of this is how do you bring all those sectors into play?
Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Dr. Henry Musapaka, called for collaborative work to ensure food sustainability, especially on the government's flagship Feed Saloon.
It's a big step for us. We actually, at the global stage, because His Excellency decided to create the presidential initiative on climate change, on food security and energy, and then decided he would chair a presidential council for the delivery of Feed Alone. People see that as a big leadership commitment to be able to bring all the resources needed, because that's what's needed in this space. Food systems, agriculture to Feed Alone is not one ministry, it's everybody. And His Excellency decided he would chair that, and he decided to appoint, to create an initiative to be able to drive that.
Among several recommendations proposed by Vice President was the use of renewable energy to reduce on greenhouse gas, climate change awareness, investing in the private sector, and digitalization by using technology to track farming activities and land assets in the granting of loans. For SLBC Newshour in Freetown, Stella Bangura reporting.
Let's take some human interest stories. Residents in the Western Area Rural District have raised concerns over the dilapidated states of the Songo Road Bridge that connects more than 7 communities within Ward C. They said for the past 10 years, the road cannot be accessed by vehicles due to its deplorable state, which worsened during the rains. Amnata Fufana takes up this story.
This is Songo Road, one of the oldest roads here in Waterloo, the Western Rural District. And this road is serving more than 6 communities within the Western Rural District. Founded in 1813, the road used to be a smooth path for people. But as you can see from the background, it is currently in a deplorable condition, making it difficult for users and also vehicular movements. The Songo Road Bridge, before its deplorable condition, was a shorter route utilized by most traders residing in communities like Lompa, Waterloo, Paloko, Masuri, within Waterloo, and also connects pedestrians to the main highway. The present condition of the road is nothing to write home about, as its deplorable condition has become burdensome for traders as well as residents plying the routes on a daily basis. Why?
This is the bus, and then can take Sansan, and I can come alongside the beach, and stop by the beach, go in and bring Sansan and go back. But when we cross go over the other side.
Because only the footpath someone else use.
Traders said since the bridge collapsed, they have been constrained with accessing it as the wider space has been occupied by grass. A resident, Vandi Bangura, stated he has utilized the road for over 30 years and noted that the past 10 years since the collapse of the bridge, it has been difficult for them as they currently rely on the youth to clear the road, making a temporal structure that's helping creating access to neighboring communities.
This road past way keep broke, they destroy this bridge, and the communities they empower for make the bridge. So they not they give them nothing, then they do about self-help promo. See? And this road done bad often. I'm majority in the past now this road here. See, and we want to let them make this road here. I got in power, let them make this road here. But now, and the short road this for going to Lompa inside 355.
Edman of Cold Town community, one of the linkages of the Songo Road Bridge, said the condition of the bridge has posed threats to the community people as they are most times bitten by snakes because of the bushy pathway. His call is for the road to be constructed to prevent more danger.
As me they talk to us, so Abonia, Armenia, at this age I'm 50 plus point of time now. Everybody they feel pain because the road don't depreciate. They ask for government. Then they can't we aid, NGOs them. Then they can't we aid so that the present contractor where would allocate this road, then will be fast tracked for we.
Due to the abandoning of the road, it is evident that people have encroached a portion of the bridge by constructing houses, while others have transformed it into a dump site. This is not the only concern of residents, as there are other roads connecting to this bridge also in a poor state, with the absence of proper drainage system, another major pointer for this situation. Residents are pleading with government and humanitarian organizations for a swift intervention.
SLBC News, Aminata Fofana.
Back in 2013, the Sierra Leone Police and the Sierra Leone Commercial Motorbike Riders Union signed a memorandum of understanding aiming to address the issue of commercial motorbike riders operating in the central business districts. Years later, the agreement is set to be enforced, introducing a ban and new restrictions on these riders. This announcement by the Sierra Leone Police has been received with mixed feelings, and the bike riders are calling for an alternative solution instead of the ban. Our reporter, Nendewa Toronka, has more.
The 2013 Memorandum of Understanding sought to restrict commercial motorbike riders from operating within the central business districts, aiming to reduce traffic and improve safety. As the implementation approaches, both riders, citizens and authorities have strong opinions on this matter. Alusain Toure and Mohamed Kalma are commercial bike riders who said the restriction will mean more hardship for their families.
It is a tough situation for us. Many of us depend on working in the central business district for our daily income. The restrictions could mean less business and more hardship for our families. We understand the need for safety and order, but we hope there will be provision to help some of us who will be directly affected.
But ordinary Sierra Leoneans like Abdul Rahman and Maria Makoka supported the ban and believe it will make the areas safer.
You see so many accidents.
The central business district is often crowded, and having so many motorbikes weaving through traffic can be dangerous. I believe this will make the area safer and more orderly.
Accidents will reduce. The public relations officer, Sierra Leone Commercial Motorbike Riders Union, Mohamed Nabiu, however, called on the authorities to consider alternative solutions rather than removing the bike riders from the central business district.
These are the solutions once the police will sit and discuss and agreed. Let's identify few commercial motorbikes, give them conditions. One, you should be a valid license holder or rider. Your motorbike is licensed and insured. You have your helmet and your driver's mirror.
The police is, however, calling for effective collaboration among security forces and the bike riders.
So me, I urge everybody, the details, excellency, and the bike riders themselves, we are then very key to this one. That there in be this kind opportunity where the director provide. Where somebody go like we manage to say magnanimous. He show a little bit of soyat. He said, "Oh, left this first, this boku, what are we doing?" And now we calm down. We are for them to accept and let me go one to how the law said.
The $1 million question is whether such restriction will take effect when the police has over the years attempted to enforce such, but the situation remains the same.
One of the indigenous banks in the country, Rokel Commercial Bank, has turned 25 in promoting financial inclusion and economic growth in Sierra Leone. Marking its anniversary, the management of the bank, led by the managing director, has engaged traders, business owners, and commercial bike riders in some parts of Freetown with the aim of taking banking to the informal sector. Here is a report. The outreach to traders, business owners, and bike riders by the managing director of Rokel Commercial Bank, Dr. Walton Ekundayo Gilpin, resonates with the bank's 25th anniversary celebration on the theme, Take Banking to the Grassroots. The MD and his team engaged traders and business owners at Garrison Street Markets, Salad Ground, Regent Street, and commercial bike riders at Duazak Junction. They educated them on the importance of banking, its benefits, and the various products and services the bank offers to their customers.
It's very easy for you to use a QR code or even a USSD code to pay somebody for a service they provided for you. So somebody does the keke or does a bike, after coming down you don't have cash on you, use your phone and transact quite easily. It helps one for ease of transaction, it helps two for the deterioration of the money, it also helps three if they say if there's no money around and you want to pay, you don't have to go to the bank, stand in line, you have your money on your phone, use it to pay, it's quite easy, quite simple, and that's what we're advocating right now.
Dr. Ekundayo Glipin said Rokel Commercial Bank is poised to promote financial inclusion and access to banking, not only to its customers, but also the informal sector, whom he described as a major contributor to the country's economy.
We have done is to promote financial inclusion within the economy. So we've gone beyond the confines of just working in the office, to go out to different institutions, different schools, to go out to different communities all over the country, north, east, west, and south, to talk and advocate, articulate for people to open accounts and be part of the financial system. Thirdly, we'll also be able to boost the bank's financial position. To become a strong bank, a bank that's recognized in the sector, in the sub-region, in the world at large, for being a successful institution in Sierra Leone.
Cheerleaders for Garrison Street Market, vegetable sellers, and Vice President Bike Riders Union, Duazak Branch, Suri Kamara, commended Rokel Commercial Bank for taking banking to the informal sector, noting they were beneficiaries of the bank's products and services. In the past 2 decades, Rokel Commercial Bank, as an indigenous financial institution, had positioned itself in the banking industry with the introduction of series of banking products and services, including digital banking, promotion of financial inclusion, and human capital development, among others. Ibrahim Samara, Freetown. That's too good. Now to tourism. The Ministry of Tourism and Cultural Affairs has started the commemoration of the 2024 World Tourism Day, themed Tourism and Peace. The event highlighted the role of tourism in fostering peace and socio-economic development in Sierra Leone. As Esther Sako reports, the commemoration started with a press conference held at the Ministry's Conference Hall in Freetown.
The press conference marks the start of a month-long celebration aimed at fostering peace and national cohesion through the power of tourism. Director of Tourism Mohamed Jallo emphasized the day's significance, stating that it is not just a celebration but an opportunity to raise awareness about tourism's contribution to peace and economic growth. He noted that this year's theme resonates with the global and domestic crisis and Sierra Leone's leadership at the UN, underscoring the importance of tourism in conflict resolution.
This year, we want to see how we can highlight the importance of tourism in harnessing peace, the importance of tourism in harnessing resilience and non-violence resolution to conflict.
A representative from the Independence Commission for Peace and National Cohesion echoed these sentiments, stressing the connection between tourism and social harmony. He vowed the Independence Commission for Peace and National Cohesion's collaboration with the ministry in raising awareness about peace through a series of events during the month.
We want to reassure you that our commitment to work together in promoting peace, it's always there, and our doors are open for you to come, and then we work together in promoting the peace.
Deputy Permanent Secretary Philip Mose, whilst reading the press statement, highlighted the ministry's commitment to promoting responsible tourism, noting that activities like peace tours, debates and symposia have been organized to engage communities, youth and businesses.
This event will promote domestic tourism, highlighting its economic benefits and its role in fostering social and cultural unity. A peaceful environment not only attracts tourists, but also ensures long-term growth in tourism receipts. Therefore, it is imperative for all Sierra Leoneans to engage in activities that enhance our global image and resolve conflict throughout the world.
Journalists during the news conference asked questions about the ministry's efforts in ensuring peace through tourism and plans for sustainable growth. SLBC News, Esther Sako reporting.
From tourism, we move to a story on public sector reform. The European Union governance program, together with the civil service component, has held a regional validation of a monitoring and evaluation organizational assessment report and training tools for civil service reform institutions. According to the Director General of the Human Resources Management Office, Ansusma Samuel Choka, the report will provide a feedback mechanism on how civil and public service institutions should position themselves for effective monitoring and evaluation in civil service reform institutions for effective service delivery. Dennis Fraser has the details.
The major findings, key recommendations.
Presenting on the scope of the baseline assessment, the consultant, Titi Muvenzi, said that the aims and objectives of the report was to look into the organizational and capacity assessments and training tools which were critical to ensuring that the government obtains credible data for the implementation of its development goals and for having a clear national monitoring and evaluation framework on domestic and national development projects.
There are two reports that we are going to share with you, and it is important that when we present the curriculum and the training plan, we get feedback from you in terms of what you would want to see, what is missing, what needs to be emphasized.
According to the Director of Performance and Management, HIMO, Chegno Mansari, the validation workshop was a follow-up, an opportunity for stakeholders to provide feedback before the release of the final report.
We kept the Western area validation for last. We've been to the East, the South and the Northeast and the Northwest. We have generated a lot of information from civil and public servants in those regions. Today we are meeting here and we have carefully selected our participants. So this will be the final straw.
The Director of Human Resource Management Office, Ansu Toka, admonished the participants that the report will provide a feedback mechanism on how civil and public service institutions should work for effective monitoring and evaluation that is geared towards effective service delivery.
We do not have a system of monitoring and evaluation how these reforms are impacting on the civil service. This is the last round of consultations. So once we validate and we get feedback on the tool that has been developed by the consultant, we will now put together the curriculum and the civil service training college will now be in a position to start to deliver this training.
He called on members of the press to amplify the cross-cutting issues on monitoring and evaluation, which will leverage collective endeavor in strengthening M&E in public reform institutions. European Union Governance Programme has been providing support to the governance sector in Sierra Leone through the civil service component, with the intent of strengthening the civil and public service as people responsible for structuring the national workforce. SLBC, Dennis Fraser reporting.
You are watching Newshour coming to you live from the Salon Broadcasting Corporation from our broadcasting house at Newlanville in Freetown. Now we move on to education. The Ministry of Technical and Higher Education, in collaboration with the United Nations Development Programme UNDP, has launched an ongoing professional training and certification program aimed at equipping 50 skilled workers in refrigeration and air conditioning. This training is currently being held at the Freetown Polytechnic Kisi campus. Jonathan Turner tells us more.
Skilled workers in refrigeration and air conditioning are crucial for improving energy efficiency and addressing environmental concerns in Sierra Leone. The training was part of the government's broader efforts to empower youth and skilled workers
with the tools they need to contribute to the country's economic growth.
Impact, it's bringing the awareness to the youth that it's good to be self-reliant after they've gone through this. They will not 100% be depending on government to provide jobs for them. They are job sufficiency. I'm expecting a great work from them, and from here, their attitudes will be changed. Because we are not only testing them on effectiveness, we are testing them on their cognitive, and then they are effective, and also their psychomotor.
The trainees, who were from diverse backgrounds, seemed excited about the opportunity. Juliana Kouma, one of the beneficiaries, believes the program is timely and critical for enhancing her professional capabilities.
In the field, we work, but we don't get paper. Yes. But when they don't count this, they don't motivate we more for we then we particular fields there where we work as a technicians.
Another trainee, Saidu Sano, expressed gratitude for a program. He said will update his skills to meet current trends.
Country run at lost, you understand? But we mean now so now as Ghanaian, you understand? I able to do this job here. I know say I able for benefit me country. I go impact me compute them. I go able for pass this knowledge on to me compute them.
Providing specialized training and certifications to these trainees, the Ministry of Technical and Higher Education and its partners are setting a stronger foundation for the country's future workforce. For SLBC News, Jonathan Turner reporting.
Let's now go for some international news.
Hello and welcome to International News with me, Cynthia Kamara. The International Committee of the Red Cross says 3 of its workers have been killed and 2 others injured in a strike in eastern Ukraine. The ICRC did not identify who was behind the attack, but called it shocking that shelling will hit an aid distribution site. The agency said its vehicles are completely marked and operates regularly in the frontline region of Donetsk. The distribution of the goods had not begun yet, and no residents were affected by the explosion. The agency said it did not confirm any details about the identities of those killed. Earlier, Ukrainian officials had reported shelling in Vorolyvka and said workers had been uploading supplies when the attack happened. Scotland's only oil refinery is to close by the summer of next year. With the loss of 400 jobs, Petronews said the closure of Granmouth was due to it being unable to compete with sites in Asia, Africa and the Middle East. The company said the decision will safeguard fuel supply for Scotland by converting the site into a terminal able to import petrol, diesel, aviation fuel and kerosene into Scotland, but will require a workforce of fewer than 100 employees compared to the current 475. Petronews said they expected the new hub for finished fuel to open by early summer next year. First Minister John Sweeney said he was deeply disappointed at the news, while a joint 3-point plan was unveiled by the Scottish and UK government regarding the future of the site. Workers said the announcement was a kick in the teeth, while unions labelled it a terrible indictment of both government and of the company. An education bill that will give South Africa government more control over white minority language schools is a threat to the country's new government of national unity and the second largest political parties. The bill seeks to give the government the power to determine language and admission policies in schools. In the current arrangement, school governing bodies consisting mostly of parents and community leaders determine this. Critics describe the bill as a threat to single language schools, particularly those in the African language that is spoken by the country's white minority, Afrikaner population and others. South Africa has 12 official languages, while most schools use English as a medium of instruction from a certain age. Some use African, the language that developed among Dutch and other European colonial settlers in the 17th century. Out of 23,719 public schools, at least 2,484 are African language schools, according to government figures. Algerians expected the elections to go off without incident and for Abdul Majid Tebboune to win a second term. Instead, they saw the president himself questioning the vote count, and his opponents filed illegal suits alleging fraud. This surprising turn of events marks a turning point for Algeria, where elections have already been carefully choreographed by the ruling elites and the military apparatus that support it. The country's constitutional court has until next week to rule an appeal from Mr. Tebboune's two opponents. She said 94.7% of voters had voted Tebboune's re-election. He said 94.7% of voters had voted Mr. Tebboune's re-election. His two opponents, Abdullahi Hassani Sharif of the Movement of Society for Peace and Youssef of the Front of Socialist Forces, received only 3.2% and 2.2% of the vote respectively. Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of Entertainment News. I have been Cindy Kamai. Stay tuned.
From international news, we now move over to business updates.
Hello and welcome to the business updates. In today's edition of the business, we shall be looking into the Lumo as a meeting point for buyers and sellers in the provinces. Is one way farmers can sell their produce in a special day or days of the week. The Lumas can be found in many places across the country. Bandajuma and Soa Chiefdom Pujon district communities normally come together to do business. The SMBC Suleiman Toure was there for business updates and compiled this report.
It was 4 p.m. Though the team arrived late and most people have left, Bandajuma Luma was still half full with sellers and buyers who went there to do business. One could see vehicles fully loaded and ready to ply the highway, some still trying to buy and put together their items. Though during Lumas, customers expect to buy most of the products and items cheap, especially when they were local products. This session appeared different as most of the customers raised concerns about high cost of commodities.
It's not easy for you. What you can buy, the next month, this was my point of close to 250. Every day, oh, they talk to them, say them that when they can sell, and then they able to get. So they make idea, then they buy food.
Like the customers, the traders also complained about the rains affecting their business and low sales.
Why?
They, however, expressed hope for a change in sales and rainfall, especially when most people come from different places in the country to trade. For Business News, Suleiman Toure reporting.
Many thanks, Suleiman Baba Toure, for that report. Well, that's all we have time for in the business updates. Thanks for joining us.
It's time for the traveling news. We want to apologize for that, and we shall bring you traveling news in our subsequent newscast. It's now time for entertainment news.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment News with me, Stella Bangura. In today's entertainment news, King Nazad releases the video Each and Every Day, and Big Four dishes song titled Call on Me. King Nazad, a Sierra Leonean singer who has been in the music scene for years, entertaining his fans with classic songs, has released a brand new song he titled Each and Every Day. Of course, the song is nice with lots of message for the youths and Sierra Leoneans in general. Let's get a snippet of the song.
It's a woman for the cry, now for think twice. Salon at the name we have say we get for the minibus, but you know they grow for the people they okay. While we still they come day, we country on the tongue.
According to the Star, the song speaks about the struggles of Sierra Leonean youths. He spoke more in an interview with SLBC's Ibrahim Samura. Let's get it.
I have 15 songs in the album, yes sir.
Let's discuss the songs. What are these songs?
One, I have Each and Every Day, which is revolutionary songs. I did that song especially for Sierra Leoneans. And I have Good Life. Of course, that's, I believe Good Life is a song everybody is hoping and wishing to live the good life. So I did that song as inspirational song. I also have My God Is So Good, and because I usually do gospel music and revolutionary songs. And I have This Life, of course, it is a conscious music for the youth. And I have National Cake, that's a Sierra Leonean revolutionary song I titled National Cake.
That was King Nazad, and now Sierra Leone sensational Afrobeat singer Big Four has released the video of his song Call on Me, featuring another hitmaker, Nigga Don of League of Extraordinary Guys, LXG. The song was produced by Nigga Don himself and mixed and mastered by one of Sierra Leone's popular engineers, Alman on the beats. Here's the video.
Now you be safe and not get money. Me not so you party. You say I will let Congolese. Oh no, say me not nobody. You say me sucking na kowata, and me salad na try carry. I make a try for change me position. So one day you go call on me, Mr. Money. No hesitate, cause I get money. I get 3 billion now overseas. If you shake body, I go spray money. I said this that true story. If money not there, you not get money. They make me say for they change position. So what did they go call on me?
Classic video and song indeed. Well, that's all we have for today's entertainment news. I am Stella Bangura. Stay tuned.
Many thanks to Stella Bangura for that entertainment news. It's now time we cross over to our sports desk and we take all the latest in local and international sports.
Hello and welcome to Sports Update News. I am your presenter, Esther Marie Samura. In this edition of the Sport News, the Central One Football Association Inter-Community Football League ongoing at the parade grounds ended in violence today between the match between Bambara Town and Fobe community. It was indeed an intense battle that ended in violence. Here is a highlight of the match.
Goes out of the goal line for a corner kick. And Fobe is Messi. National kick verified.
Well, officials and supporters of Bambara Town Football Club alleged that the ball wasn't a penalty. I spoke to the assistant coach of the team who talked about their position so far.
Make a mistake, keep on forth. At this time, this situation, then they can't apologize. So we have how the one of it. But we let's move. We will wait for it to go for them for the side. And I'm not going to tell you now what's in our next.
I assure you, sir, I don't always remain for the situation. There's nobody who will start a peace at a peace orders to the state. And anybody who try to take the law into your hands, the police will never take it easy with them. One of those days, when somebody faces, when something goes wrong, you're not going to use the right channel for fighting grievances. But taking violence is never acceptable. With police presence here, police will never make professionalism until a graduate. Some things we don't have to be past, where we know they even determine. But we always ensure coming together, having meetings with organizers of this show, for even brief and disciplinary coach to any disrupting teams when they get game. For them, either for stroke of the game or any other concept. But I can assure you, tear gas is not the solution. But I can tell you today you can be in a crowd misbehaving. But tomorrow, based upon evidences we have against you, we can swear pursue you, get you arrested, and bring you for charging for crimes when you don't commit, even use tear gas against innocent people. That's the crowd. I have seen people that are misbehaving, inciting others. I have videos today for which I know, even after here, you can be in your private house. I can bring you to crimes that you have committed or inciting others. That's I can show you.
Well, that was ASP Septimus Randy, the head of operations at the Eastern Police Division. Earlier, you heard from the assistant coach of Bambara Town Community. We tried speaking with the chairman of the Central One Football Association, Phillips Incline Cole, about their position, but he feels that they'll be coming up with a statement after their findings. But as it for sports updates on his, I have been a presenter, Esther Marisa saying goodbye, keep watching the SLBC.
Thank you very much, Esther Marisama, for that latest update in sport. Well, SLBC Newshour will continue to follow that incident as it unfolds. Well, now, to end the news, the main point again. The United States has announced support for Africa's request for 2 permanent seats on the United Nations Security Council. The support followed the appeal by President Julius Maada Bio, who is coordinator of the African Union's Committee of 10 Heads of States and Government on UN Security Council reform. The United States representative to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, says the U.S. will be advocating Africa, Caribbean, and Latin America's request for a permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council. The Deputy Division Chief of the International Monetary Fund, Christian Saborowski, has met with President Julius Maada Bio at State House to discuss ongoing negotiations under the IMF's Extended Credit Facility. And the residents in the Western Area Rural District have raised concerns over the dilapidated state of the Sango Road Bridge that connects more than 7 communities within the Ward C. They said for the past 10 years, the road cannot be accessed by vehicles due to its deplorable state, which worsened during the rains. Well, that's all we have for in this edition of News Hour, which came to you live from the Salon Broadcasting Corporation from our broadcasting house at Ningnaville in Freetown, with me, Ibrahim Samora. Continue to view a public broadcast at the SLBC. If not, why not? Have a night rest. Good night.